What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Gamescript. We're looking at the Miami Dolphins versus the LA Rams in this one, Monday Night Football. And Miami is in a matchup where it might benefit them to get back on track, and I'll get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at Pumacom with Heat Seeker Sports. You're watching Gamescript. Looking at Monday Night Football between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams. It's a 49-point total with Miami as 2.5-point dogs in this one. They're playing in LA, and Miami is in a situation where they need to win this game to stay in the playoff hunt. They are 2-6, I believe, but they have only won a couple games this year. Tua, of course, missing a bunch of those games with a concussion, and he came back a couple weeks ago, but they have not won since he came back. So Tua rejoined the team a couple weeks ago and put the offense back on track to be successful, but they just haven't won the games. Make sure to hit the like button before I get into this analysis. I'm looking for 30 likes to put out a shorter video later on. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I am about 70 short of 1,200, so I need 1,200 subscribers. I was trying to get there by the end of this week, but we'll push it till the end of next week. So I appreciate any help with hitting the subscribe button. You want to hit the subscribe button to get alerts for when these videos come out. They come out at no set schedule, and you're going to want the alert for when they come out. We've had some success recently. Spread and I last week nailed the Chiefs game script. I almost won 118K in that one. I was there until the last play of overtime, and then Spread ended up shipping that contest when Kareem Hunt hit that touchdown. So make sure to sign up for alerts when you hit the subscribe button over on YouTube and get us to 1,200 subscribers. All right, guys, let's dig into this player pool. Looking at the Dolphins situation, where the Dolphins, Warren Sharp did a big study on it. You check out his most recent show from Friday, I believe, and he dug into the analysis of play action and how the Rams defend play action. The Rams are the worst team in the league at defending play action, and the Dolphins, of course, are using it at the highest rate in the league. So the Dolphins, this is about as good a matchup as you can get for the Dolphins against a strength versus weakness type of matchup. And for the Rams, the biggest point of weakness on the Miami Dolphins defense has been the running back position. So running backs have been doing the best against the Dolphins. They've been scoring about 25 DraftKings points a game, and that's where we see Kyren Williams here. He's the most expensive guy on the slate, and there's a good reason for it. He's been solid this year, scoring just about 20 points in most games this season, but he ends up being the most expensive guy on the slate at 10,800. He might need more than 20 points to get on the optimal in this particular game because we got so many studs. But we can dig into like each of these players as we go down. Looking at Tyreek Hill with a potential, he's questionable, so he could potentially miss this game. And you can see Tyreek has not done very well recently. You notice the point jump. Look at these totals. Like when Miami plays without Tua, 10 points, 3 points, 12 points, 15 points, 10 points. Tua comes back, 27 points, 27 points. And in week 1, he had 20 points. So Tua makes a giant difference on this team and the scoring that they're able to do. And, he's just an efficient quarterback, gets the ball out quick, uses a lot of play action, a lot of motion, and, fits in perfectly with the Mike McDaniel system. And these wide receivers and weapons do much better with Tua under center than anyone else. And it's just empirically, you can't deny it. So Tyreek, if he's healthy and if he's playing, should have a really good setup for this game tonight. He is also expensive at 10K. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both came back a couple weeks ago, back healthy. We've seen it with 16 DraftKings points and 24 DraftKings points since his return for Cooper Kupp. He's competing with Puka for targets. A couple weeks ago, Puka Nacua outscored him. Cooper Kupp only had 16 DraftKings points. Puka Nacua had a lot more than that. And then this past week, when Puka Nacua was out, Cooper Kupp had 24 DraftKings points. So, it's going to be a decision point here with Puka and Cooper. And as far as the Miami pass defense, they've only been allowing 9.7 DraftKings points a game to the slot and 14.9 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. But that can be a little bit deceiving because if you look at the teams that they've played, we're talking about Buffalo, which doesn't have any significant receivers. At least they didn't in week 2. Seattle was the biggest one, but DK Metcalf had a nice game against them. Tennessee, New England, Indy, Arizona. Marvin Harrison had a decent game against them. And then Buffalo last week. Let's see what Buffalo did against them last week. Buffalo last week, only Mac Hollins had a decent game. I think Murray Cooper might have been out for that game or got hurt in that game. But Mac Hollins ended up with 14 DraftKings points. But it gives you an idea of the type of receivers that Miami has faced. They haven't faced, when they have faced like wide receiver ones, like legitimate wide receiver ones, they've had decent games. That point total that DK Metcalf had was 23 DraftKings points. Other than that, that's it. Marvin Harrison had 26 DraftKings points. Those are the two biggest scores against Miami. You could project either Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua maybe to have 20 DraftKings points against these Dolphins. Devin Achane is much better with Tua. Same situation. Look at these points with Tua: 26 DraftKings points, 32. He's basically the wide receiver 2 on the team. 23 DraftKings points, and he had 29 against Buffalo the week that Tua went out. So, he's had some monster games with Tua in the lineup, and like just a stud all around. He's a receiver. He's a running back. He's basically like kind of a Deebo Samuel type of player, except he's got a running back designation. As far as the points that the Rams have given up to running backs, they've only given up 22.6. But, that's generally with the way that the Rams play against play action, I'm thinking that these Dolphins all have a lot of upside tonight. And Tua also will have that upside. Tua, 17 DraftKings points and 14 DraftKings points the past 2 weeks. Week 1, he had 21 DraftKings points. So a lot of upside for Tua. And the Rams are giving up 17 DraftKings points a game. Puka Nacua, the other side of that Cooper Kupp. It depends on which one of these guys you want to go to, basically. Let's see the man coverage situation. Get an idea of which guy might be favored. Miami is running middling man and middling zone. They're running literally in the middle on both of those types of coverages. Both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua rank among the top 10 receivers in fantasy points per route run. So, it's a favorable matchup for either one of them. So you can take your pick on Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua got ejected from last week's game. So maybe he's going to get, let's see, 1 second here. I'm going to get an idea of the target shares these guys are getting. Puka Nacua, 32% target share versus zone. Cooper Kupp, 37 versus zone. Puka, 25 versus man. Cooper Kupp, 30 versus man. So, but we've seen those games where Puka Nacua gets more targets than Cooper Kupp, and one of those weeks was a few weeks ago where he had 9 targets versus 8 targets. So take your pick between these guys, basically. Whoever fits your lineup, and then maybe do a rotation on them. Matthew Stafford plays much better when he has all his weapons. You can see it in his numbers. When he got both of them back a couple weeks ago, he had 25 DraftKings points. He had 18 last week, even though Puka Nacua went out. Week 1, where he had both of them, Puka Nacua got hurt in that first week, but Cooper Kupp went off against the Lions slot defense, and they ended up getting 18 DraftKings points for Matthew Stafford that week. And then against the Dolphins, they've only been allowing 12.2 DraftKings points a game to quarterbacks. So maybe we take that into consideration, that he's in a more difficult defense. Miami has been pretty good against some decent quarterbacks, like holding guys like most recently against running quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, running quarterback, 25 DraftKings points. Josh Allen, running quarterback, 23 DraftKings points. As we know, with Miami, they're weak against the run. They have a lot of injuries to their linebackers. Let me share this over with you. Look at how thin they are at their linebackers. Bradley Chubb is out. He's been recovering from ACL. Cam Brown out. Cameron Good out. Patrick Morris out. Javon Holland. Well, they're safeties, but Javon Holland is questionable. So they're a little bit thin at safety, and then especially at this linebacker position, they're missing 2 guys. So their depth at linebacker is pretty thin, and that can maybe be a reason why they've been a little bit sluggish against running backs. They're giving up a lot of DraftKings points against running backs. Let's go back over to DraftKings here. So Mostert, let's see, other quarterback performances against them. Those are the only 2 20 DraftKings points performances against Miami, and they both came from running quarterbacks. So keep that in mind when you're considering Matthew Stafford. Raheem Mostert fumbled it last week and set up the rookie to take more touches, but Mostert, he's always going to be a threat to taking some of those touchdowns away from Achane, but at his price tag, Mostert isn't a guy we necessarily want to use. 9 points a game is his average. Jaylen Waddle has that same matchup as Tyreek, but he has not really done much these last couple weeks since Tua's been back, but he did have a big week in week 1 with Tua, 19 DraftKings points. So this could be a game where Jaylen Waddle finds his footing. Waddle has, I don't know what's up with Waddle this year, but he has not been doing as what we're used to seeing with Waddle. But if Tyreek is hurt, that could put more of a load on Waddle for us this week if we want to get a little bit sneaky with our Miami wide receiver decisions. Hopefully, Tyreek ends up playing, and then we can get some of the attention off of Waddle. But if Tyreek is out, you can expect Waddle to be highly owned. Demarcus Robinson had 2 touchdowns last week. He's a guy that's, he's been solid when all the weapons are in. And you see that 27 DraftKings points last week, 17 the week before that. He disappeared when both those guys were hurt. But, when there's not attention on him, Demarcus Robinson can sneak in there for some big games. So Demarcus Robinson is a guy that we can leave in our player pools at 5,600. We got the kickers. They're both, kickers. I believe it's a dome in LA, so we don't have to worry about these kickers. We got Jonnu Smith. The tight end position has done well against Miami. They're giving up, or against the Rams, they're giving up 13.7 DraftKings points a game. Jonnu Smith has come on lately too. 6 targets, 7 targets, 8 targets in the last 4 games. Jonnu Smith in a decent matchup at an affordable price is a good guy that we can sneak into our lineups at 4,400. We got both defenses. I'm probably staying away from defenses this week. I'm not very high on defenses in this game, unless you expect some sort of a different game script. Cody Parkinson has not done anything, and on top of that, he has a rough matchup. They're only giving up 9.9 DraftKings points to tight ends. Jalen Wright is the guy that was benefiting when they were pulling out Mostert for that fumble. Jalen Wright ended up with 6 attempts last week, but he has not done anything this year. He's at 3K though. If you want, if we need a guy to rotate in the cheap range, Tutu Atwell. Once those guys are back to Puka and Cooper Kupp, you can forget about it for the most part with these other guys. But Tutu Atwell has speed, but he just doesn't get the targets. 1 target in each of the past couple weeks. Whittington, I would imagine the same thing. He's a rookie, so we don't really have a history of him. But he had 0 targets in week 1 and 0 targets in week 7. Let's see. Beckham Jr. made his debut a few weeks ago. He's only getting about a 20% snap share, so not super high on Beckham, but he's at 2,400. So if we get desperate and we need to rotate a guy in that cheap range, Beckham will have that same advantage with the motion and the play action that the Rams have struggled to defend. Malik Washington has been getting about the same snap shares as Beckham. Let's take a look real quick. Malik Washington's been getting 34% versus 20% for Beckham last week. So he's been getting a little bit more than Beckham. But obviously, Beckham is Beckham versus Malik Washington. He hasn't been earning targets either. So keep that in mind with Malik Washington. Tyler Johnson had 5 targets last week, even with those guys both in. Week 1, he had 12.9 DraftKings points off 7 targets. So, he's a guy that's earned targets even with those guys in. So keep that in mind if we're looking for a cheap guy. He's at 1,600. Let's get an idea of the snap count that he got. Look over at the Rams. Tyler Johnson, 38% snap count last week, 38 the week before with Puka, not ejected. So even with Puka ejected, he kept at 38%. Tutu Atwell was the guy that benefited when Puka went out. He went from 12 the week with that Puka returned to 34% last week. So just keep that in mind with these guys. Jeff Wilson, kind of obsolete. Blake Corum, he doesn't get any opportunity. Most he's gotten was 5 rush attempts, and he only had 4 DraftKings points with that. They just like to grind out Kyron Williams. Other than that, I don't really see too much else. If you have to dumpster dive, you could go with Smythe or Hill. They're in that same beneficial tight end matchup. So, all right, guys, let's build this lineup. Make sure to hit that like button. Give me 30 likes. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Help me get to 1,200 subscribers. I only need 7 left. And you want to hit the alerts when you sign up for when you subscribe to the channel, just so you get the alerts when these shows and the shorts come out. And by the way, if you're looking at about an hour before lock, my short hasn't popped up on YouTube, it's because YouTube's taking forever with the uploads. Just go over to TikTok and it'll be up there because that takes a few minutes to upload. All right, guys, let's dig into this. I want to go with one of these Dolphins as my captain, Achane, Hill, or Waddle. I think for this lineup, let's go with Achane. Let's get Williams in there because we know he benefits. And let's get Waddle in there because he's cheaper and it's going to be a tight on salary week. Let's go down to Smith, let's get Smith in there just with all the targets he's gotten, and he's got a good matchup. If we want to try to get Tua in this lineup, or let's get Nakua. Let's get one of those Rams receivers in here. It's going to leave us with 5K. So it's going to be very tough to get who we want, all the guys that we want on our wish list. But you can see we got options like Sanders or Cardi, defenses if you like the defenses, guys like that. If we wanted to maybe take out Smith and go with one of these cheap guys, let's say we go with Smythe instead, that'd leave us with 8,500. Really puts us in no man's land there. I don't want Mostert. It's 100 short of Stafford. But if we put in Nakua there, or let's take Smythe back out and put back in. Where'd Smith go? So, that's where that type of build leads us to. If we wanted to swap out Achane, maybe put Nakua in the captain. We got 5,300 left. Same situation. Kickers, defenses. We could swap out Nakua and put Cup in there. Puts us at 4,100. That leaves us with the defenses, so less options there. But you get the idea with how you can rotate some of these guys depending on who you want in your core. If you wanted Cup out, let's take Waddle out here. Let's put Tyreek in the captain. And then let's put Nakua in. That's going to put us in that 1,400 range where you got Corum, maybe something where he gets like a goal line carry or something. And then you got Smythe. If you want to take Kyren Williams out and maybe put in Tua in this lineup, and then Nakua's in there because they're playing from behind, it's going to leave us with 3K. That puts us in Jalen Wright territory. That's not horrible. And then you got Beckham Jr., Whittington, some options there, Tyler Johnson. Not the best options. Now let's go ahead and let's put Waddle in the captain. If we put Waddle in the captain and we keep this same build, let's take Tua out. Let's put Williams back in there. It's going to leave us with 6,500. That puts us a little bit more options. It gives us Robinson as an option at least. If we want to take Williams out and put Tua, it leaves us with 8,100. Kind of no man's land again. But we could take out Jonnu Smith. If you wanted to put Cup in there, leaves us with 2,700. Leaves us options like Beckham Jr. and stuff like that. So you get the idea from playing around with it. Like Waddle, I think, is going to open up a lot of stuff to have him in the captain. He's got that same beneficial matchup as Tyreek. He'll have much lower ownership, and we are keeping an eye on that Tyreek injury situation. That's going to be significant for the slate tonight. Hearing he's a true game time decision. So the coach said, Tyreek will play if his body allows him to play. So I guess we'll find out later on today, but keep an eye on that Tyreek news. That's going to be huge. If you notice some of the ownership is off of him because of the injury, then that would be a good opportunity for us to put Tyreek in the captain. So just keep all that in mind, guys. Make sure you're building your storyline around the opposite of what the field is thinking on Tyreek. If they are being cautious because they think that he's going to be hurt, then you be aggressive and put him in. If they are being aggressive regardless of the injury, then you play it safe and say, well, maybe he's really hurt, and that consider that when you're building your lineups and make that a priority to get Waddle in your lineups. All right, guys, good luck. I'll put out the shorter video when I see 30 likes. I'm going to try to do that. If I can't, if I don't have time to put the video up, make sure to check in the YouTube comments, because I've been putting, the guys in YouTube comments when I'm not able to get the videos up. So once I hit 30 likes, you guys will get my pick either in the comments of YouTube, or you'll get it in the, like the short video, just in case something comes up and I can't get that video out. All right, guys, thanks.